we have seen that what are the external characteristics of a cockroach. Now next we are going to deal with the internal characteristics, that is the internal anatomy of a cockroach. So we are going to deal one by one with the internal systems of a cockroach, and the various systems that we are going to deal with is the digestive system, the nervous system, the circulatory system, respiratory system, excretory system and reproductive system. So first of all, let's talk about the digestive system. Whenever we study physiology of an organism or we study anatomy, internal anatomy, we often start with digestive system only. And if you get to cut a cockroach ever in your life, you will see that it is the alimentary canal of the cockroach that is to be extracted out first of all. There is a dissection of cockroach in syllabus of higher classes, but for now what you get to know and learn is that what it looks like when we have a cockroach being cut out and dissected. The first system that we have in our hand is the digestive system, and we are going to see how the alimentary canal is fixed in a cockroach and what are the parts of that alimentary canal. So as we have in the case of cockroach, the first thing that you have to remember is that the entire canal is divided into foregut, midgut and hindgut. And whenever we study digestive system, we study the alimentary canal and the glands which are associated with it. So one by one we are going to see. See, the mouth of the cockroach, we have discussed the mouth parts, that there are labial palps, there is labium and lips and hypopharynx which is present, that opens up into pharynx. Alright, this pharynx has a pair of salivary glands on both the sides, as you can see over here. The salivary glands, they supply the saliva into the pharynx. This pharynx opens up into a very small esophagus. It's not long, it's a tube like structure, small esophagus that further opens up into a crop. Now what is this crop meant for? Crop is that part of the gut which stores food for some time. Whatever food the cockroach is eating, it would store the food, and over here next part is the gizzard. Now the other name for gizzard is proventriculus. I am just mentioning it over here, you have to remember. Proventriculus is the gizzard or gizzard, and with these parts we are done with the foregut. Alright, so if we talk about the foregut of cockroach, from where to where it is from the pharynx to the gizzard. We saw that the pharynx is the part into which the mouth opens up. It further opens up into the tube-like structure known as esophagus, that opens into a large sac-like structure known as crop, and you would find this crop in birds as well, but for now just stay confined to the cockroach. The crop is for storing the food. This crop further leads into the gizzard. Now in the case of gizzard, you have to see that crop is a huge, it's like stomach sort of thing where the food is stored, and it leads to gizzard. Now this gizzard has circular muscles outside, while its inner side has chitin inside it, and it has chitinous teeth as well, 6 chitinous teeth. They are plates like structure, they won't be teeth properly, but plates which are present, and they would act as teeth, and that is for churning of the food and breaking the food further. And at the junction between the foregut and the midgut, there are 6 blind sacs, 6 to 8 blind sacs known as hepatic caecae. Now hepatic word refers to anything which is to do with liver. So these hepatic caecae, they are responsible for secreting the digestive juices into the part of the gut that would follow, and the part of the gut that follows is the midgut. The other name for it is mesenteron. Inside this midgut, what happens is the digestion of the food, proper digestion of the food takes place. So we see in the foregut that the food is being stored, it is being passed, it is being stored, it is being masticated by the chitinous teeth. Further in the midgut, it is getting digested by the secretions which came from the hepatic caecae, and when the midgut ends, at the junction of the midgut and the hindgut, there are Malpighian tubules, thread-like structure. They could be 100 to 150, and they are thread-like structure. They are responsible for excretory purposes of the cockroach. So they are going to serve that excretory function, excretion of uric acid. You must be knowing that cockroach is uricotelic organism, and it secretes uric acid. Unlike we people, we secrete urea. So these Malpighian tubules would be responsible for formation of uric acid and throwing it out right into the hindgut so that it could be passed out of the anal opening. Now coming to the hindgut, what we have in hindgut, it is having an ileum, then there is a colon, and at the end of the hindgut there lies a rectum where the fecal matter would be stored for some time and would be thrown out of the anal opening. So this is about the digestive system. You have to remember these names and you have to keep in mind what part lies where in terms of midgut, hindgut and foregut. So this is all you have to know about the digestive system of cockroach, and not to forget salivary glands you have to keep in mind. So there are two secretory parts in the digestive system of cockroach. One is excretory, and they do not have a separate urinary system as we people have. The whatever excretory material would be formed inside the body, that would be thrown in the alimentary canal itself. Moving further, we have the nervous system of cockroach. Now, if I say that if you cut the head of a cockroach, it is going to survive for another 10 days. What is the reason? Because it is having segmentation. Why it is having segmentation? That is a given case, and how that segmentation helps the cockroach in surviving for so many days, because the segmentation basically is metameric segmentation. Sorry, it's not metameric, it is in the form that every segment of the body of cockroach is going to have some part of the system and it would be equal to the other segment. So over here also, except for the brain part, that is supraesophageal ganglion that is present in the head part, and that supplies the nerves to the eyes and the antenna, sensory nerves of course, rest of the ganglions and the part of the nervous system. Now whenever I am referring to ganglion, I am talking about the nervous system. The ventral nervous system runs hand in hand in each segment. Okay, so we have ganglions which are present in the each segment. 3 ganglions are present in the thoracic region, while 6 are present in the abdominal segments, and they are connected by longitudinal commissures, or you can call them connectives, and we have abundant supply of nerves which originate from the ganglions itself, and every segment is well adapted for its own nerve control. So what we see over here is, this is the brain part. Okay, this is the brain part, that is supraesophageal ganglion. Now it connects it to the other ganglions by circumesophageal commissures. As I told you, there are longitudinal commissures which are connecting each ganglion to another, because every segment cannot act as different. We have an organ system level of organism over here. This is not cell aggregate plan so that every segment is going to act differently. No, there should be some connection between them, and that is maintained by commissures. Then after that ganglion, we have subesophageal ganglion. Now you have to keep in mind that the reference of the ganglions and the names are done with respect to the digestive system. So whatever part of the ganglion is lying behind, I mean not behind won't be a right word. Supposedly over here this part starts the esophageal part of the digestive system. So whatever part lies anterior to it, anterior would be the right word, whatever part lies anterior to it in the nervous system, that would be supraesophageal ganglion. Now once the esophagus have been crossed, then we have subesophageal ganglion. Then starting from the rest of the ganglions which are present according to the segment, rest of the ganglions would be named as per the segment. So we have prosthoracic, mesothoracic, metathoracic. As I told you, there are 3 ganglions in each thoracic segment, and rest of the 6 ganglions are present in the abdominal segment. So that is what is given over here. This part you can just ignore, and keep in mind that the reference is to be made according to the part of the digestive system in the beginning, and frontal ganglion, that is supraesophageal and yet anterior to that, that is responsible for supply of nerves. You know, nerves are very important for taking up the stimulus, and cockroach has sense organs as well. When we talk about nervous system, we have to keep in mind that what sense organs it is having. We had discussed about eye of the cockroach, antenna is present, labial palps are present, there are anal serae which are present. These all are sense organs, and sense organ needs a supply of nerves so that it can take up the stimulus. So is in the case of the antenna and eyes. And frontal ganglion, that is bunch of nerves again, that is responsible for providing nerves to these sense organs. Then we have the recurrent nerves which are going to pass through the nerve cord entirely through the body. This is the reference with the digestive system. We have esophageal nerve that is supplied to the digestive system. We have retrocerebral complex that is above hypocerebral ganglion. So this part is basically this particular labeling is referring to this part. Please pay attention. We are over here in the supraesophageal ganglion, that is the brain of the cockroach. So this is all about nervous system, and not to forget the sensory system of cockroach is also quite advanced, as it is having compound eyes which is giving it a mosaic vision. It is having rampantly moving antennas which are quite irritating, at least for me, and you keep seeing that they sense the surroundings, and there are anal serae in the case of both the cockroaches which provide them another sensory function. So this is all about the two systems that we dealt with of a cockroach.